Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. So I don't know where all people are. I know that Carsten is in Vietnam, so it's 7:07 for you. For me, it's night, 8 at night. So the first thing that I want to say is happy birthday to Carsten. So your
Thank you.
birthday was yesterday.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, well, happy
Thank you
birthday.
very much.
Yeah, and thank you very much for taking your time to talk to us about this important topic, OKRs and KPRs, and how to use those tools for successful PMO. But first, I want to introduce for those that don't know Carsten. He has more than 28 years of experience in different leadership positions in different companies. So I saw that you work for IBM, you work for Deloitte, you work for Citibank, and you work for Volkswagen, among others, great organizations that you are working in this arena, project management, customer engagement, and those kind of things. But Carsten is also an entrepreneur. So he is the founder of Asia PMO and also the founder of another organization called OKR Asia. He's a keynote speaker. He talks about customer engagement and experience. He has his own podcast that he called the host transformer. He's the host transformer your biz or your business. So that's the podcast that he has. So he has a expert in these subjects, so IR, he's also in customer experience. He's a consultant in that area. He's has his own company, and he does a lot of consulting around the world in Asia, Latin America, US, everywhere. One things that um, I was checking your profile. So you have the description that transform your business into a focused and result-oriented organization. We engage customer and delight customer and engage employees. Um, so with that being said, so we had the privilege of having Carsten here talking to us about what is OKRs and how can we use OKRs instead of KPIs to improve and to have a successful PMO. So again, Carsten, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction and thank you for the birthday wishes. Muchas gracias. Next time, maybe we can do the podcast also in Spanish. Let's see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody asked me, somebody
Yeah.
asked me if you can do the same thing but in Spanish. So
We
a
can
lot of
do. We
people,
can do for a later session also in Spanish.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of
No
people
worries.
from Latin America, so sometimes
Yes.
they like in Spanish
Okay.
better.
After 3 years Mexico, I think I can do it. Yeah. So yeah. So thank you for the introduction. So Asia PMO, OKR Asia, our services are mainly around business transformation, which has a lot to do with people and customers, right? Like Dr. Tony already said, we try to get the organizations fit with agile management techniques. And one of the agile management techniques is OKR. So the goal setting is not 1 year, it's 3 months. And we try to talk it out on different levels together rather than top down, which is one of the big difference between OKR and other methods. And then when you look into the quarterly objective and key result in your quarterly goal setting, we always ask, do you do anything the next 3 months, not only for your profit and for your sales? I mean, people always come up with profit, sales, process improvement. Yeah. But then we also ask the question, because we are customer employee experience consultants, what are you doing the next 3 months for your customer? And what are you doing the next 3 months for your employees? And that should be a very crucial part of OKRs. Because, I mean, sorry to say that, but if you your sales numbers inside and process improvement and internal project. Every company does that. And that doesn't make your company very sexy. I mean, every company, if I look at sales or process improvement OKRs of companies or change projects internally, process project, they're all the same. Yeah, so I can wake up in the morning, like Dr. Tony said, I already worked for a lot of companies. You can wake up in the morning, you don't know in which company you are. But if there are a little bit more personalized OKRs, what are we doing the next 3 months for the customer? Right? I mean, if you work, we had a e-grocery, online e-grocery company, a unicorn company from Indonesia. So what are you making better in the e-grocery process for your customers the next 3 months? Yeah, they said, yeah, we cut our delivery time, we increase the quality of our product, and that's very tangible, and that's also something which motivates employees more, because they can say, cool, I work for a company who delivers fast. I work for a company who nobody ever said, I work for a company who makes an Oracle project. Wow. Nobody would say that when they go drinking at night. And the other ones say, oh, I make a company who makes a Microsoft project. That's sexy. No, that's not sexy. What is sexy is you make a company who builds cars. You work for a company who delivers fast. You work for a company who makes amazing stuff, right? So the customer dimension in OKRs is very important, because it inspires people, not even if they have back office positions. But it should inspire people to say, yeah, but we work for something real, right? Not only we are accountants and graphic designer and do our day-to-day job. And the next part with employee experience in OKRs is that we really want to ask CEOs and founders, are you doing something cool for your people the next 3 months? And sometimes we even get the answer, no, the next 6 months, we are not doing anything for our people. And I said, how high is your turnover rate? They said, oh, it's pretty high. And I said, now you know why? Because you are not thinking to do something for your people. If you just pay once a year bonuses, yeah, maybe it's not enough. Yeah. So sometimes we have in the OKR, and some of you will say, wow, that's not very serious, but we like it. We have in the OKR, the next 3 months, minimum 1 company party. We had in the OKR in one of a finance company, they were offering online yoga class. So every month, minimum 1 online yoga class. Was the same weight of OKR like a profit OKR in the other, right? But it's fun, and people see that you do something for the company. Yeah, so goal setting not only have to be heavy with goals around profit and around improvements and changes and systems. It can be also fun with customer and employee dimensions. Yeah, so that's one of the first thing which is very different between OKRs and KPIs. With OKRs, we want to engage people on all levels. We want to engage them on their goal setting.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
Anyone in the audience, if you have any question, please feel free to ask Carsten. Usually the KPIs, you define the KPI based on metrics and things that you're gonna be measuring for the success of the projects or the program portfolio. So in OKR, how we do that? So you mentioning basically the result of something, so people can celebrate, people can engage. So how you implement this in a project for someone that hasn't worked in this field of OKR?
Yeah, I mean, the measurement on OKR is not so different than in KPI. Yeah, just to put it very in perspective, in OKR, we have 2 or 3 dimensions. We have an objective, which is a little bit blurry and inspirational. So the objective is to make our employees happy these 3 months, right? Or to make our processes smoother. Yeah, can be blurry. And then below the objective, we have a couple of key results. Yeah, and the key results are very similar to KPI, because the key results are the measurement. But because under one objective, we can put several key results, we can build it more cross-functional. So even making our employees happy, maybe one KR is for HR, yeah, to make the, I don't know, any of the processes more smoother, right? But maybe another KR is for the CEO to bring once a month cake, yeah? You know, so the measurement part is very similar. We put the measurements in the key results, but we force our clients to put something inspirational on top. And also the key results can be done from different teams. So we put a cross-functionality inside. Very similar like project management. I will explain that later. Yeah. And how can we implement that? I mean, the implementation normally looks like that at the beginning of the year, or we can start any quarter. We would train first customers on the difference between OKRs and KPIs, also on the 3-month cycle. OKRs have a weekly measurement, and so things are a little bit more accelerated, like in agile management. So we will train our clients on that. We will also train our clients how to build an inspirational objective, how to build clear, measurable key results, and how to structure them. And then the third part of OKRs are projects or actions, or in projects, we call them deliverable milestones or increments. Yeah, how to connect these actions to key results. Because everything you do on a daily basis is in OKR methodology, not a key result. Yeah, if you tell me as a graphic designer, I do every week 50 designs, that's not a key result, that's an action, or that's a deliverable. Yeah, but if I measure what these designs do on LinkedIn or on Facebook or in our ads, how many followers do we get? How many engagements we get? These are the key results for the graphic designer and the entire marketing team, or even the sales team. Yeah, so doing things is not valid in OKR methodology. Achieving results is valid. So we go away from the, you know, like in the project management tools and in the action management tools, that we tick off tasks. You know, we have tick off boxes and then we go home because the project manager gave us today 10 tasks and then I go home. You know, OKR methodology, you don't go home when you make your 10 tasks. You have to think about, did my 10 tasks have the right impact towards the key result? Yeah, that's the big difference. And from an implementation perspective, the big difference is normally we would do it in workshop character. So after we do the OKR training with everybody, we would set up workshops. So we would set up CEO and CEO -1 workshops for the strategy, yearly and quarterly company OKRs. And then below that, we will set up either department or team workshops where not only the leader, also the team members are inside. And we will set up the goals for the next 3 months for the department and teams. So it's not only the higher level who determines, it's like we do it in a workshop character. Yeah, that's the big difference. And then, but what is more appropriate for OKRs is actually not to go down in a department and team structure. So of course you can set up marketing department OKRs and graphic design team OKRs. Yeah, but the better thing would be that the C-level, on the company level, they define strategic topics. So for example, you wanna launch in a new country. That would be a strategic topic. 2023, we want to launch in a new topic, in a new country. So what do we have to do in Q1? So the target is to find or define the new countries. And then you put all the team members from all departments together who work against that, and you give them KRs. So this is more the cross-functional or agile aspect, what we call like a tribe and squad or projectized way of setting it up. But there is also the way to set up, and I think Nick is asking that. So there are 2 ways how to do OKRs. There's a traditional way that you can cascade company, function, department, team, yeah, or the more agile way, because OKR should support cross-functional collaboration, that you say on the company level, you give us the 4 or 5 topics you want to work on this year. And then we put cross-functional project teams together, tribes or squads, and build the OKRs on these cross-functional teams. That's actually more the elegant way. We see that more in startups. The traditional way we see more in big corporations.
Right. So one question that how or the team that defined the OKR is the same agile team, the Scrum Master with the product owner, because OKR is more popular in the agile environment than the waterfall.
Yeah, it's strange. Since COVID, OKR is popular everywhere. I mean, we have traditional Japanese manufacturers who come to us for OKR, right? They are very top down. They are very manufacturing culture, right? We have pharma companies coming to us for OKR. So the world has changed due to COVID, and that's why OKR has such a boost. Why? Because OKR says you cannot plan more than 3 months ahead. That's the big difference between OKR and KPI or imbalanced scorecard, and project management wants to plan 12, 18, 24 months ahead. Right. But in a COVID world, I mean, now the Silicon Valley Bank crashed, right? Last year, there was a war started. I mean, the world is getting crazy at the moment, and we even don't know. So how can you plan still more than 1 year? So OKR is, of course, very popular in the agile world, but now it's also very popular in a more functional and hierarchical world, more for the short term of planning. And then these hierarchical companies, they use OKR more on department and team based. So back to your question, the ideal solution is you put a cross-functional tribe or squad together. So you have for the country expansion, you have marketing people, you have sales people, you have finance people. Yeah, you put the right experts together. Yeah. And you have one who is the objective leader, almost like a project manager or a product owner. And the KRs are on these different people, or different people together have these KRs to achieve. Yeah. Right. So one KR is to minimum 5 potential countries within 3 months. That's 1 KR. 1 KR is secure minimum so much of budget, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, these can be KRs. And they all have to be achieved under the same objective. Yeah. Or we can also do it traditionally, that marketing as a team sits together and they have different KRs. So they have KRs on how much engagement they want to have. They have KRs on what's their budget limit per month and so on. So we can do both on OKRs.
Okay. Anyone have some other question besides Nick? So feel free to ask any question that you may have and take advantage.
And I want to address one more thing, what Nick says. Very clear. The last dimension which Nick says is not OKRs. There is no such thing, even in the methodology it says, there is no such thing like personal OKR. Because the moment you write a personal OKR, you are back into KPIs. Because in OKR methodology, we only measure until the team level, because it's about collaboration. It's not about individual performance. Individual performance measurement is KPI. Yeah. So we, as a consulting company, we highly advise not to use personal or individual OKRs, because OKR is about bringing people together and working together on something. Right. And with personal, you kill the idea immediately.
Right. So Nick has another question, and he said, how would be the long-term transformation of a company be handled? Basically the strategy roadmap.
Yeah, I mean, we normally don't separate processes, if I understand your question right. Normally there would be a roadmap. I mean, companies have 1 to 3 year strategies. They have maybe yearly objective, which was previously KPI. And then we have 3 to 6 months roadmaps at the moment. Right? I mean, we are a little bit flexible with OKRs. Some companies do OKRs also in a 4 or 6 month cycle. So we are flexible. The speed of OKRs depends how fast you create results as a company. Very agile companies, they want 3 months because they are like results every week. A little bit more traditional companies, they cannot create results so fast.
Right. Yeah, Mario, you have a question for Carsten?
Yes, good evening and good morning to everyone.
Okay.
Mr. Carsten, is there a similarity with the MBO program, management by objectives?
Yeah, MBO is something, I mean, it's more the generation of Dr. Tony than me, honestly. Sorry about the joke. Yeah, I haven't seen MBOs around. You know, I was asked 2 weeks ago for a client to write a history about goal setting, and they wanted MBO and OGSM. And I said, do you really want to spend me time to do that? Because in my lifetime, I haven't seen that. Right?
Yeah,
maybe not
that
in
was
Asia.
something end of the 80s. In the 80s, the MBO
yeah,
was very
70s,
popular,
yeah. So we have seen latest transformations from balanced scorecard, KPI to OKR. That's the most common one we have seen. Maybe some use MBO, and I was not very aware of that, but it was the balanced scorecard they used, right? And there, I mean, the way is you can keep the measurements, right? Like I said at the beginning, the KPI or balanced scorecard measurements are very similar to the KRs on different level, the key results. The only problem is in OKRs, we allow on every level only maximum 5 objective and 3 to 5 key results per objective. And I have seen balanced scorecards, which maybe is derived of MBO, with like 300 KPIs, with like 500 figures.
The more the better.
Yeah, it's like a spaceship. It's like Star Trek, where you track everything on a huge dashboard. And that's what we don't want to do in OKRs. We want you to focus the next 3 months and tell us what your staff should focus on. These are the company OKRs. So what are the 5 most important things we should focus on the next 3 months? One is maybe country expansion. And of course, while doing OKRs, we allow you to have somewhere your KPI dashboard with 300-400 numbers, and you as a management can track that extra. But that's not inspirational for the staff. What we want you to work with the staff are the 3 to 5 objectives, which are then broken down into agile squads or into department structure. And these are then part of the roadmap, to go back to it, to really focus people on what's important. Yeah?
Right.
Does that answer your question, Mario?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say, Mario, this is some kind of joke. OKR is Agile MBO. Agile management by objectives. A lot of the concepts that you have discussed is localized. I remember those processes of MBO. Everybody was about MBO, and all the measures, steps of the company and the performance of employee was based on your objectives. So there was a lot of noise by that time. I would say it's like Agile and MBOs. It's OKR.
So yeah, you can say that. I mean, it's like also agile KPIs, right? I mean, it's shorter, it's more focused. I mean, one of the main thing is, and it's very difficult for companies to transform from MBO, balanced scorecard.
Right.
When you ask the leadership or the C-level together in the workshop, what, because they are like, yeah, we have this 50, 100 things we measure. And you ask the question, what is it really important the next 3 months? They have really a difficult time to tell you, to break it down into 5 to 10, right?
Yeah, I think that the tendency that we have in development things, the markets, like everything changed so fast that you don't have the time to invest in gathering data, creating those metrics, and then show the metric. When you show the metrics, the momentum already is gone. So you need to have something that is in line with the tendency. Is agile, is adaptive. If I need to change it today, so I change it today because the objectives change. So I think the association of OKR with all the agile practices that everybody talking about, like PMI, adaptive versus predictive, is makes sense to have also an agile way of measurement, make sure the success in that way. So anyone in the audience have some other questions? So I have another one. So if I am new to this concept, so OKR, what do you suggest people to do? So I know that you have a training, and so what do people need to do if they want to adopt the OKR if they're not using it now?
I mean, it's not so difficult, right? I mean, you have to get familiar. There are a lot of online trainings. There are our trainings. I mean, there are a lot of people who do that. How to write good objective and key results, and what is the structure. And you should not fall into the trap that your key results look like action. So a key result is not, I finished that, I finished that, I finished that. The key result is, why do you finish that? Yeah, I need a number. Yeah, so if you tell me, for example, as a key result, I implement a system, and I can maybe use that as a key result for the first 3 months, if that's the only thing you do. But then the next 3 months, my question is, why do you implement the system? Is something faster? Is something more sales? You know, just implementing the system, just finishing a deliverable or a milestone in project is not good enough for OKRs anymore. You always, for KRs, for key result measurement, you have to ask the why question. Why do you implement the system? Why do you change the process? Why do you make 50 graphic designs a week? Yeah. And the why question will lead you to the KR. So you have to be very careful. Objectives are easy to write because they are inspiration. But a very tough part where we as consultants come in is showing companies in the workshop how to write good key results. And then these key results should be measured on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. I understand that in an MBO and KPI environment, we often measure on a monthly basis. I have seen that, especially I like in banks and stuff like that. In OKR, we ideally measure on a weekly basis. Now, if you are not so fast and you don't have results on a weekly basis, you can also do it on a bi-weekly basis. We have seen that with different. So we can help you to adapt that. But it's very important that the respective level, the company OKR level, the department team or agile tribe level sits together every week or every 2 weeks and goes through the KRs, right? So did we get more engagement from our customer? And then we will say, oh, we have done all our graphic designs. We have done all our postings. And I would say, I don't care what you have done. I care what you have achieved. You know, that's a completely mindset thinking and transformation, because people are very fast to tell you always that they have done the job. But in OKR, it's not good enough anymore. We want to see if you reach a result or not. Yeah. So this is very important. I mean, the key and the heart of OKR is to set up the right key result, also under one objective, make them cross-functional, the different teams and different people work together, and measure them on a weekly and bi-weekly basis. And that's where you can react. Because if you see after 2 or 4 weeks, the people do their job, but the KR does not move, then people do the wrong job. So you should correct their task and actions. You should say, hey, what you do is not successful against the KR. So let's do something else. Yeah. Or you should help as a cross-functional team this person in an agile mindset. It's not about, agile mindset. It's not so much about top-down controlling and it's more about helping each other. Yeah. Right. Brainstorming together in this weekly, bi-weekly sessions. And that's the cultural mindset transformation shift. So what we also need, of course, is then from the leaders a certain openness, right? That they say, oh, I accept the ideas from my team. I want my team to have ideas. That's not only top down. So you have to work on your culture if it's still pretty top down, and you have to work that you have really good key results and measure them on a regular basis. That's very important.
Right. So another question from senior leadership. they like metrics, they like numbers, they like forecasts. So how so in your experience, how have been the acceptance of these principles in that level?
I mean, normally every company has a 12 months forecast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because that's the old balanced scorecard, MPO, KPI thinking, 12 months forecast. All the numbers are 12 months forecast. Yeah. Now we break them down in 3 months, which is okay. I mean, sometimes they do it linear, sometimes not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Depends if your quarters has the same performance, or if you achieve on the customer, employee, market side the same every quarter. But the problem is, if they don't achieve, because OKR is about achievements from the previous quarter. So I don't care so much about your 12 months number. So your 12 months number is, let's say, 12 million. So you have to achieve every quarter 3 million. Now, if after the first quarter you only achieve 1 million, what do you do? Are you pushing the organization the next 9 months, 9 quarters to catch up to 2 million, which maybe at the beginning of the year you can do? Or are you already adjusting your yearly target and said, wow, that was completely unrealistic because after 2 quarters, we are only in 3 million instead of 6 million. You know, and that's the tough talk with leadership, because leadership is always, no, we have the yearly target 12 millions. And if you don't make it in the first or second quarter, you have to catch up. But OKR is not about catching up. OKR is not waterfall management where what hasn't been done in Q1, you have to do in Q2. At the end of Q1, we will speak about the entire situation again and make realistic targets for Q2. Maybe with a little bit stretch. So it doesn't matter what you want until the end of the year. It matters how is the situation on the market or in the company by end of March, and what is achievable until June. And that's a tough talk with the management, because you micro plan only 3 months ahead and you adapt to the situation.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't think that will kill the entire purpose of strategic planning? Because strategic planning is long term.
Yes.
So the organization, they need to plan ahead what's going to happen in 3 years. So the leaders, they should have that vision, so they move the organization forward. So I think that Nick, he asked that question, how to cascade from the strategic planning when you have those strategies objective of the organization. For example, we're gonna go global. We're gonna go to this continent first. So how you tackle those strategies objectives that they are long term? So it's more than 3 years or more.
I mean, in OKRs and agile management, long-term planning is an estimation. Okay, strategy and yearly planning is an estimation. And now it depends how good or bad the leadership is, how good are they in estimating or not. We have seen, especially in startups, crazy yearly numbers, which after the first quarter, they were like in 3%. So there was no way they will ever achieve that at the end of the year, because the leadership was way too confident, especially in startups. Yeah, we have seen more manufacturer, pharma companies, they plan it more linear and they achieve it. Yeah. But the question is, what is it worth to have a 3-year strategy if something like COVID, inflation, or anything happens, right? And this is where OKRs want to react. So it means every 3 months you can react with your micro planning in order to adapt your resources, in order to adapt your targets to stay on the strategic plan. You know, I mean, the adaptation you do every 3 months. So if you realize that after 3 months, you didn't make enough sales, or you didn't make the right step to launch in a new country, after 3 months, you analyze why. Didn't we have enough resources? Didn't we have enough that and that? And then you correct it for the next 3 months. That's the chance of OKR, because you make the planning every 3 months. You don't sit at the end of the year and say, ooh, things fall down. Yeah. So we want to stay on track with the strategy. I mean, remember Elon Musk from SpaceX, he says he wants to go to the Mars or build an interplanetary species. I mean, of course, 2025 Mars is out of the picture. That was his big goal, 2025 Mars. He will never be 2025 on the Mars. Let's do that. But they take steps, still steps in this directions, right? And maybe they will be 2027 or 2030 on the Mars. Yeah. But the overall goal he has is still valid and motivates people to work for the company. Yeah.
Right.
So OKR gives a little bit realism in the strategic planning. Every 3 months, you get a little bit realistically where we are and what do we have to do to keep up with the yearly and the roadmaps and the strategy planning.
Right. Manuel Reyes, engineer Manuel Reyes, he posted a link in the question and answer. So he said that this is an introductory course that it was helpful for him to understand the concepts of OKR. So if someone want to have sites to help them to understand better. So any question from the audience?
There's a question from Nick about benefits management here.
Oh, yeah, the benefit realization. Let me see.
Yeah. I would answer that quickly. Is that okay?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, yeah, OKR at the beginning does not change benefit management because that's too much transformation. So whatever you have at the moment in benefit management, don't change it the first 3 to 6 months you implement OKRs because you have a lot on your plate to change the mindset from people, from task to result oriented, to change the mindset in my top leader tells me what to do in we work it out as a team. Yeah, how to achieve the strategy and so on. Yeah. But after a while, we have to acknowledge that OKR is team-based. It's not individual-based. So if you really go towards an agile company with OKR and squads and tribe and this kind of working, you probably have to start to remunerate your people team-based instead of individual-based. And how does that work? I mean, we have done that for several of our clients. There are 3 components normally. The first component is the company OKR, the company result. I mean, you have that already, right? 1/3 of the bonus you get is how does the company do? The second third of the bonus you get is how did the team do? Either my team, my departmental team, or the cross-functional team I was assigned to. Yeah. And then the third component is not anymore how did I do, but we call it the cultural fit components. So in a lot of agile companies, if you have your values very clear defined, like we had values like customer centricity, like helping the team, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And either the leaders or peer-to-peer, you can evaluate people how they work against these values, right? But the values have to be very practical. Don't come with something like integrity. That's way too abstract. You have to come with something very practical, like helping the team, being customer-oriented, and so on. These are clear values. And then you can rate people on these values, because in an agile organization, we assume, and you should be proud of your HR, we always assume that you hire the right people, because you have very complicated hiring processes, normally. So you should assume that you hire the right people. Now the question is, do they fit culturally in my system or not? And that's what agile companies evaluate individually now, the cultural fit, not the individual performance anymore. Because you hire people who should have the right individual performance.
Right. So in that area, so I work for a global company and we implemented like a 360 feedback. We automated.
That's good.
We automated the process, so we had quarterly performance assessment for our employees. We established quarterly objectives for every employees, and and that was cracked in the system. So everything was integrated. That was also impacted the certain levels or certain measure for each employee. So depending on what level you achieved in that year, so you get the salary increase. For example, 3%, 4%. These are the high performers. So those ones, they got 6%. So those kind of things. So, but in your training and you consulting, you consult more with the IT people or business or age? How do you do that?
I mean, it's a very funny question. So often HR consulting either starts with the C-level. In smaller companies, we engage directly with the C-level. They're like, ooh, my people are so task-oriented. I want them more result-oriented, and I want them more self-organized, and so on, right? Or a lot of time, because OKR is an organizational topic, we first start with HR or the strategy team.
Oh, okay.
These are normally the touch point. Often it's HR. Often it's also if companies have a strategy team, because you have to come down from the strategy to OKRs. This is normally the part. But then when we implement OKRs, we work cross-functional with most of the teams, right? And also, you will see it in our online training. There's a role called OKR champion. Yeah, OKR champion are internal facilitators like Scrum Masters for OKR. It's a part-time role, yeah, not a full-time role. And we always advise not only putting HR people as OKR champions. I want OKR champions from every department, from every country, from every function, because OKR champions have to facilitate, for example, the process, how to write good OKRs and how to measure key results on the ground. Yeah. So normally we start to work with HR and strategy ops team, but then later we have facilitators inside the entire organization.
Right. Yeah. So let me see if somebody has some other questions. So we are almost about to finish, so we have some time for question here. But I have one. PMO. PMOs is a buzzword. Everybody talking about PMOs and Agile PMO. And yesterday, Pierre, the CEO of PMI, he published an good document. I think it's a result of some research that they did with Pricewaterhouse also, and they call XMO. XMO. Instead of PMO, is XMO.
Oh, okay.
So X, anything. So, you know, like project management office, portfolio management office, program management office. So now it's no P, X, like a question mark, X and O. So my question is, all the PMO is about KPI. So I facilitate a workshop is about how to implement an effective PMO. So one of the things that you need to measure. So if you can measure, you can control it. And in that case, how we transition from that mentality of KPI, that is some kind of, you mentioned some kind of legacy, to OKR. So the PMO will adopt the OKR as a way of measuring the success.
Yeah, I mean, in PMO, we measure project, right? We can also, I made a speech 1 or 2 years ago how PMO can help customer experience in OKR, because I was director of PMO in some finance companies, and I used my team for a lot of things, even for ID management, for strategy stuff. They not only did project management, so I already had that X inside, and it's work, because PMO is a very powerful cross-functional unit, and they can do much more. I mean, PMO would be a great unit to implement OKRs, honestly, if you don't have a strategy team, right? So we can take PMO a little bit out of just focusing on projects and so. But going back to your question, now in PMO and in project management, we normally measure deliverable milestones or increments, right? Inside the project. So every week you get status updates from the project, and you say, have you achieved your stuff on time? Yeah, I mean, it's always scope on time with the threshold of the resources you have, right? That's what we measure in a PMO. And that's where we put our RAG status and we put it green. Yeah. But when we put agile and OKR on an PMO is always then the next step to say, what do I want to achieve with this project, right? So not only looking functional at the deliverables and milestone status, which actually is a bundle of tasks if I have ticked them off, yeah? But am I on the right track? I mean, I have a project in finance, which helps me to launch another project for selling loans or something, right? So am I on the right stage with my finance project that I can already start my loans project? That's the connection we have to do. So we go back to road mapping, because I have done road mapping for a lot of fintechs, and it's complicated. It's pretty complicated because you have product priorities, you have marketing priorities, you have a lot of IT priorities, yeah? And then the CEO at the C-level has completely different priorities, right? Which are insane. So you have to teach the CEO sometimes first that his priorities are impossible because you have an IT and product roadmap, which cannot be faster, right? Because they work with externals or whatever. And so you have to bring all these roadmaps together. And then PMO is really to make clear that the results on the projects are achieved, right? And we had that already some years ago when I worked for a PMO. For me, a project never stopped with the closing. Because the closing is a project where you hand over a system, where you hand over a product. And that's maybe obviously wrong in an agile setting, because then you are not responsible for the result anymore. So the project should go on 2 or 3 months more in a post-project phase, where the project plus the handover department are together responsible to create the first results, internally or externally. And if you cannot create these results, yeah, then the project was maybe a failure, even you ticked off all the deliverables.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit the idea. Yeah.
That's a great thing. So so we run out of time basically. So the last question would be, what would be the call to action for people listening, for people that attended this masterclass? So what will be the call to action? What to do next if they want to embrace these concepts of OKR for their organizations?
Yeah. I mean, first think about, we always want our clients to think about first if you are ready for OKRs, right? I mean, are you ready to go on a 3 months micro planning instead of a 12 months planning? Is your leadership ready for that? Is your leadership ready to go less top down and say, we now make workshops with our staff where we discuss out the OKRs and we listen to our staff? That's very important, right? And then, do we have enough functions and capabilities in our company to go from task-oriented to result-oriented? So if you run a factory, you probably don't need OKRs, because people don't want to brainstorm strategies with you. They just want to come in and get told what to do every day. And they are probably not educated enough to go into workshops, and they don't want it. The same if you run a call center. I was in CX, I was also head of CS. My call center staff didn't want to do OKRs. They want KPIs every day, right? But if you are more in an innovation or change-driven environment with highly educated people, and they want to be included, that's one of employee experience nowadays. People want to be included, they want to be empowered. So if you are in these kind of organizations or departments, you should use OKRs. And the next step is, of course, you can read our material or anything else in the world and get informed. We can, of course, help you to implement OKRs in your organization, right?
Right.
But think about if you are ready for result orientation.
Right. That was great, Carsten. I really appreciate your time. So too early for you, and just discuss all your experience and the successes that you have with OKR. If people want to know more, Carsten has a lot of, I was checking you YouTube channel, so has a lot of conference that he has been the speaker notes for different events. So you can learn more about that in detail. And also you can visit his website, it's the OKRasia.com. Is that the website?
Yeah. Or you just connect us by LinkedIn. Me personally, we do almost everyday updates. Yeah.
Exactly. We live
In
we
LinkedIn.
sleep in LinkedIn.
I try to be as active as Dr. Tony, but he's still more active than me. But LinkedIn is a good channel. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so we are connected by anything that you need from Carsten around these topics and other topics. So he has a lot of other courses. I need to take a couple of them, but so I'm gonna finish a couple of things that I'm doing. So it's a great thing, and your experience has been great for us here. And thank you very much for all the attendee also. And so we're gonna post this video in YouTube so everybody can have access and listen again what everything that Carsten has said to us about OKR. With that being said, thank you very much. I have a great day for you, Carsten, and good night for those that are close to sleep like me. Thank you. So it was a pleasure to have everyone here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. So I give you a call one of those days. So we can plan for another one in Spanish. Some people ask me
Sure.
We can Spanish.
We can do it.
So we're gonna do it for Latin America.
Okay.
But it was great.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank
you for the question. I hope my joking was okay. It was too offensive. Sorry for that, but it was just
No.
spontaneous.
No, that was great. That was great. Nice to see you. So take care. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.